MLB Talk, New York's #1 baseball podcast. Now here's your hosts, Chris Pizzaya and Rob Maraska.
And welcome to a new episode of MLB Talk with your hosts, Rob and Chris, covering the Yankees and the Mets and all of Major League Baseball. And remember, you can follow us on Twitter /X at NYMLB Talk. You can follow Rob at R Maraska. You can follow myself at CP7NY. And remember, you could also find us at sportswireradio.org. You can follow the station manager there, Mr. Thomas Bryce at Thomas Bryce 2017. For all the other great shows that are on there, whether you like baseball, football, hockey, tons of wrestling, it's all on there. Check it out. They also got a YouTube page. Follow them there as well. And we have our YouTube page, so definitely hit the subscribe button for us as well, so you could stay up to date on when our next shows are coming up. Usually we're Mondays and Fridays, so definitely look forward to those days for us. So, Rob, what's going on?
Chris, beautiful baseball weather we've been having in New York, huh?
Yeah. It didn't help us last night, but
no, it didn't. Well, the Mets were doing fine in Colorado, so no complaints here.
I think everybody does well in Colorado, but Colorado, right? Yeah. Except for the Rockies. They're the only ones that don't do well there. Everybody loves going out there to play ball now. They love it. They're like, yeah, we'll go to the Rockies.
And yeah, it's just terrible.
It is. I feel bad for the fans because you know what? It's a great sports town, Denver, and the Rockies are just god awful, and they're well on their way to breaking the record that the White Sox tied of the Mets. So Met fans are like, hey, we're not going to have the National League record. We're not going to have the Major League record for worst season. So beautiful. But I do feel bad for them and the players too. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's just not good.
And it's, the crowd, and they had crowds there this weekend, but there was a lot of "Let's Go Mets" in the crowd.
Oh yeah.
I was laughing yesterday because it looked more of a Mets crowd than anything. It's just that's just horrible. I went through that as a kid at Shea Stadium in the late 70s after the Mets traded Seaver, and they were so bad that I was one of like a couple of thousand there, and it's horrible. It's just horrible. And I feel bad for them, but you know what? I don't feel bad that the Mets went in there and beat up on Colorado.
No, you know what? You got to take advantage of these games on your schedule, right? When you look at the schedule, you're like, oh, we got a tough series here and we're there. But those easy games, especially this year with the Rockies, you got 6 games against them, 3 at home, 3 away. You took care of them in New York, and now you swept them in Colorado. That's what good teams do. They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. The Yankees did not do that last night, but you guys took care of business. So let's talk about the sweep. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about the Mets sweeping the Rockies other than, the Mets swept the Rockies, but they definitely took care of business.
Yeah, they took care of business. The Mets still left a lot of runners in scoring position. I mean, it was just crazy if you look at the numbers. Friday they were 2 for 15 with runners in scoring position. Wow. They won the game 4-2, but Lindor had to come in with broken toe and all to win that game for the Mets. Top of the 9th when he hit that pinch hit double. But the funny thing was, this weekend with broken toe and all, he stole two bases standing up, right? I'm telling you, the Rockies everything is going wrong for them, that they have someone with a broken toe stealing off of them, not once, but twice, and not even having a slide, just standing up. It's crazy. Yeah. It was crazy. But it was a great series. Like I said, they left a lot of runners in scoring position, and that's been their problem all year. It's been their problem for a couple of years, but I can't complain about the hitting right now. Soto is back to normal, I feel. Okay, so let's start. And could you believe there's still, and not you, of course, but there's still Yankee fans out there talking about this. There was a shot in the dugout where the Mets, every time they hit a home run last year, they would hold up the OMG sign, right? Now they do a peace sign or whatever they do. And he was involved in it, and it looked like he didn't want to be in the picture, but we didn't see the whole thing. So now Yankee fans are saying, see, he doesn't even want to be involved in that, blah, 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 blah.
It's so stupid.
All right. Enough already, guys.
Yeah.
Come on. We keep telling you. It's done. It's enough. He's a Met, and whatever happens, happens. Just forget about it. Listen, you still have Judge, and that guy is a hitting machine where it's just unbelievable. Even his batting average in June, I mean, he's close to 400.
It's crazy. A couple of home runs last night. It's insane. He really is insane. Listen, about the Soto thing, I'll be honest, most Yankee fans have moved on. There's still a couple of stragglers that, don't want to let go for whatever reason. Maybe they got his jersey still sitting in the closet, hoping that, he'll get traded back to the Yankees or something. But we know that ain't happening. It is what it is. Soto's going to be fine the rest of the way. Yeah, he's going to have his ups and downs, whatever. Every player does. But the first 2 months, listen, Yankee fans had their dream, right? For 2 months,
right.
They were able to say, "Oh, look, this guy, he's stupid. Look what he did. He signed with the Mets, and now he stinks." Yeah, it's over. It's done. Who cares? Like you said, move on. It's over. I don't even want to. I don't even think about it anymore. Like if Soto goes 0 for 4, I don't think, oh, he's still thinking about it. No, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, it is, and I'm sure. Listen, if he has to go back to Yankee Stadium in the postseason. If there is a Subway Series, they're going to boo. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazier than it was for the regular Subway Series.
At least I think he knew the boos were coming, but I don't think for whatever reason, maybe he thought it was going to, simmer down or quiet down after the first inning when he got up and when he went out to right field, but it didn't let up. Right. So
right.
Listen, it's just going to get worse, but at least I think this time coming in, he's not going to expect it to not be there. Now he's going to expect boos. I'm hated. It is what it is. I'm the villain. And I think he's going to play, he's going to play on that role from now on, whenever he enters Yankee Stadium. Like, now I'm the villain and I'm going to love it. Like, I don't care if you don't love me anymore, or, you're not my fan or something, like now he's going to use it as, a little bit of fuel, and he'll play the villain role.
Yeah, and which will be good because like you said, he'll use it as fuel. So all he has to do is laugh at it, and then he'll be fine. But let's talk about another ex-Yankee again, Clay Holmes. He wins a pretty good game, 8-1. Now he's 7-3, and I'm just glad that the Mets signed this guy as a starter. I'm really happy. I'm happy with Clay Holmes. And maybe, just maybe, the Yankees should have experimented with this.
It's very possible. Like we've been talking about it. Like, it's just a complete shock right now. The only thing that I would be a little bit not worried, but kind of like, okay, let's wait and see, is wait until he pitches, in August, September, when things start to get a little more tighter, because that's when he kind of folded with us, right? When things got a little sweaty for him, that's when he definitely, I don't want to say choked, but whatever it is. But
and plus,
but until then, he's pitching great. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than what he's done so far.
No, and plus, let's see how he is. This is the most he's pitched, so let's see if he runs out of, if he runs out of gas. We don't know what to expect from him. But the Mets had a power surge this weekend too. I know it was in Colorado, and these guys love hitting there. But Maurizio hit his first home run of the year. McNeil was hitting home runs, and of course Alonso is back to the way he was in April, where that guy is just hitting everything, and he's just great. He overpassed David Wright for second on the all-time Mets home run list with 243, and the only one he's got left to pass is Darryl Strawberry, and that's going to happen pretty fast, 252 home runs. So that's going to happen. Alonso, listen, Soto's got to be happy that he's hitting in front of Alonso, right? I mean,
I think Alonso's happier.
yeah, I think so too. We talked about that. We talked about that on Friday. Yeah,
I think so. He's pretty happy about this.
But the Mets are just, even though they're leaving all those runners on scoring position, they did score when they needed to. They took all 3 games, and I'm just happy that they swept the series and the season series from Colorado, and that's it. I wish they had 6 more games against them, but
And you know what? Just real quick with Holmes. Holmes never pitched this many innings already in the majors, so he's already topped that. But in the minors, he did come up as a starter. He did make his most starts he ever did in a season was in Double-A, where he threw 26. He had 26 starts and he threw 136 innings. So he's a little past halfway there. So we'll see. Like you said, there's a couple of factors coming in, like as we see. But right now, I mean, you got to sit back and say, "Oh my God, this is like the greatest." And they signed him for what, $15 million a year, which is nothing for what he's pitching like. I mean, now he's pitching like a middle of the order, middle rotation guy. A 2 or a 3, which I don't think any of us seen this happening. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, listen, it could work out, it could not, but right now it's looking perfect. So we'll see what happens. Second half of the season, maybe at the trade deadline, the Mets still add a starter. You guys are getting Minaya back.
Yep.
In a few weeks. Montas is, but you really don't want to see that guy. But
no,
we'll see what happens. And then looking ahead with the Mets, we'll look ahead as well. Now you got the Nats coming in, and you got the Rays. The Rays are one of the hottest teams in baseball, and the Nationals, they always give you a headache anyway, because they're just that team, that young team, that young core. They're playing well. They're actually playing better than the Braves this year. They're actually, I think, a game and a half or 2 games ahead of the Braves right now in the standings, which is crazy to think. But
yeah, the Braves, we're kind of in shock with the Braves because usually the Braves find a way to win, and we kept saying, the Braves are going to be the Braves. They're going to be in it. But, it's starting to get late fast. It's going to be the All-Star break before we know it. And the Braves still have a long way to go. They have to fix whatever's broken. And I'm telling you, I still say it's their terrible offseason. They had a terrible offseason. They really didn't do anything. And I think that's a big factor. I mean, they're not the Braves we're used to watching.
No, you know what? Because you had Strider coming back, and he hasn't pitched well since he's come back. Acuna's come back too. He's hit okay, but he's definitely not what he was a couple of years ago when he won the MVP. When he had 70 stolen bases and 40 home runs or whatever. So, there's something wrong. There's something going on there that's not good. They brought up Kimbrel for a game, and then they, designated him for assignment right away. Just some strange things going on in Atlanta. We didn't really see this coming, but they look like they could be sellers at the deadline this year. I mean, they got a couple of weeks that they got to figure this out, right? 2, maybe 3 weeks. Once you get to the All-Star game, the All-Star break, you usually know what you're going to be by then, right? So they got about a little less than a month to go here to figure out what they're going to do, in July. Are they going to go for it and maybe make a trade? Because right now their bullpen's a mess. The rotation's not pitching that well, especially with, like I said, Strider coming back. He is not pitched well at all. So to me, it's a big shock. But getting back to the Mets, you got the Nationals coming up first, right? What do you think of that series coming up?
The Nationals, they do give the Mets trouble. They're a pesky team. They're young, and they have nothing to lose. So that's always rough when that happens. The Mets just have to remember, the Mets are home, and the Mets are great at home. So that's one thing. But they have to start when they have bases loaded, when they have men on second and third or on third, they have to start knocking these guys in. They need to sacrifice fly every once in a while. It's you can't swing for the fences and strike out. You were in Colorado, you swept Colorado, but remember, you're going to play Washington. They could be tough. You're going to play Tampa. And they're playing really good right now. You're right. It's they're in it. They're always in it. And we thought, well, maybe this year, but Tampa's tough too.
Yep. And so far this year, I think you guys have split, right? The 4 games you played against each other.
Yeah.
It was in Washington. You had a 4-game series late April. Washington won the first game. Mets won the second. Washington won the second, and you guys won. Oh, the last game, the 19-5 game. That was the game. What's his name? Hit all the home runs, right?
Yes.
What's his name?
That was the game. But that was in Washington,
right?
And you can't. They're going to be at Citi Field. And the Mets are a better team in Citi Field. The weather tomorrow is going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible. So I don't know.
Think about it. And last year, you guys won 11 out of 13 against them. You were 11-2 last year. The year before, you were 7-6 against them.
Yeah, well, that year, they were horrible.
Yeah.
That was the year after. After they should have won the division, and Atlanta ended up winning because they won the season series, and we know what happened. And then the Mets did nothing against the Padres, so
right.
That was that year. But you know what? I'm looking forward to these games against Washington. I want to see how the Mets handle them. I want to see if they're going to leave runners on, because it's been, as you can tell, it's been driving me crazy, and it's been driving a lot of people crazy. That's all you see on Twitter. Mets leave another runner on base. Mets leave bases loaded. They just have to. They have to do something. They need to hit some sacrifice flies, like I said.
It's going around. The Yankees are doing the same thing. Trust me. The Yankees are leaving guys on base too. And that's the part that frustrates you, because sometimes it's like you get a man on third with less than 2 outs. The least you could do is bring that guy in, right, with a sac fly or a ground ball or something. And it just, right. And then they pop it up or they strike out. So it's like fundamental baseball. Get those guys in, because those runs, even if it's not, even if it's second and third with less than 2 outs, at least get the one in, right? And if you do it again, you get it, it adds up. And it adds up the opposite way when you don't bring them in. So it sucks, But so I know how you feel. Trust me, Yankees are right with you.
And today's June 9th. So last year on June 9th is when the Mets turned everything around. It was the series in London against the Phillies. The Mets split it with the Phillies. This was the second game after they lost that first game. This is a game where it ended with the double play at the plate. And from then on, last year, the Mets were the best team in baseball, and that turned everything around. So that's already a year ago when that series happened.
It's crazy how that weekend was the turnaround, right? From that point on, you guys and before that, looking behind you, it was such an awful start to the season where, everybody, questioning everything. Oh, the manager's not that good. He's there, right? I mean, and then boom, like that, everything changed. And then from that point on, you guys went on a great run. After that, playoffs, great run. And then, getting beat by the Dodgers in the NLCS. But yeah, that was huge when you think about it, a year ago now. So, but we'll see now. Now you got, like I said, Washington. I think they've lost 4 out of 5 of recently, but they have been playing well this year. They got the young core. You got James Wood. You got the center fielder who's really good. They just brought up this year to start the season. It's just a young core. They got a great pitcher, starting pitcher now, Mackenzie Gore. Awesome. Another guy they got in the Soto deal, right? So,
right.
But yeah, no, it'd be interesting. And then you got the Rays. The Rays, I think, have won 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 the last 10. So another tough team coming in.
Yeah,
So good challenge, you guys.
I think Major League Baseball and the commissioners got to start worrying about what they're going to do in the postseason if the Rays make it.
You never know. Yeah, I don't think the A's are happening, so we could scratch the A's off of that.
Yeah,
but
I'm
the
not
Rays are right there.
I mean, they're not gonna play. They're not gonna have postseason games in Steinbrenner Stadium, or they're not gonna.
They'll probably go to I would think the Marlins Stadium, because it's close. It's the nearest one, so I would think they go there to play their home games if they make it to the playoffs. At least that's my guess. I don't know.
And it looks like they could. They're always there. Tampa, always there. So that would be an interesting thing. I'd like to see what happened, if that happens. But I think you're right. Probably go to Miami.
And right now they are in the playoffs. Right now there's a 3-way tie for first place in the wild card for the American League. Right now it's them, Toronto, and Minnesota. They're all at 35 and 30, and they're the wild card teams right now. So technically, they are in the playoffs, and they're actually only 4.5 behind the Yankees after last night. So, you know what? They're not that far off, and they're playing really good ball, which they do every year. But now they got that young kid at third base, Caminero, who's really good, and the first baseman's having a great season. So, yeah, you never know. Tampa might surprise everybody and might make Major League Baseball, sweat a little bit here. If they make it to the playoffs, they'll have to have a game at Marlins Stadium or something. So, but
they'll have to have American League postseason in National League Park.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with the Mets. But let's get to the Yankees, Chris. What happened this weekend?
Yeah, not good. It started off good Friday night. Winning that game, winning the first game against Boston, but. Then Saturday came against Crochet, and you know what? They actually got some runs off him. I didn't think it would be a high-scoring game. I thought it would be a lower-scoring game, and they were actually up 3-1 going into the third inning, and that's when, they got to Yarborough. Yarborough pitched probably his worst game he's pitched all season. He's been on a great streak being in the rotation, and this was really his first bad outing he's had all year. And he couldn't get out of the fourth inning. Ended up giving up 8 runs in total. So that wasn't good. So he took the loss. And then Hamilton came in the 9th inning, and he gave up a couple of runs too. So it was a close game. It was only 8-7 going into the 9th inning. And then, like I said, Hamilton gave up a couple of more runs to make it 10-7. But my thing is, listen, if you're scoring 7 runs in a game, you should win that game, right? Exactly. I mean, your pitching should give up less than 7 runs a game. I don't care who you're playing. You score 7 runs, you got to win that game, as bad as it was, especially going against one of the best pitchers in the American League in Garrett Crochet. And they actually got to him, and they couldn't do anything with it. So anyway, 10-7 was that game. And then going into the Sunday night game on ESPN, I figured, all right, hey, they win tonight, they could just win the series. And then their pitcher, Dobbins, made the quote earlier, if the Yankees were the only team wanting to sign him, he'd retire. I don't know, for a rookie to be saying that, I don't know if that's really the smartest thing to say at this point.
And Chris, that's BS, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, give me okay. He's full of it. Yeah. Okay. So what are you gonna do? Go work at Walmart because you don't want to pitch for the Yankees? Come on, that's so stupid. It's a kid, and I just thought that was so stupid of him to say. When they say stuff like that, I mean, all right, it's different if Ken Griffey Jr. says it, right?
Right, and he's been saying that since he was playing. He still says that. That he would have never played for the Yankees, which is fine, and I get why, he's told a story about, with his dad and all that. And I totally get it. I would probably feel the same way, especially if my dad felt that way. I would definitely defend my dad in that sense. So, but yeah, for a kid, a rookie making his fourth or fifth start or whatever it is in the season, and he's already, which all right, no problem. And then Judge greets him in the first inning with a home run, but then they couldn't get anything else off of him. So, but anyway, they end up losing Sunday night 11-7. Again, you score 7 runs and you don't win. To me, that's on the pitching, right? And they also had other opportunities to score more runs, but like your team, they couldn't get it done with guys on base. But yeah, you score 7 runs, you got to win those games. You can't let these games get away from you, especially, we had Rodon on the mound. He was pitching good going into the 6th inning, and then he gave up the 3-run homer. It happened really fast. I know a lot of fans I seen were complaining like they should have took him out. It happened it was 3 batters right in a row, right? It was hit by pitch, it was a walk, hit by pitch, whatever, hit, and then home run, just like that. And then they took him out anyway right after that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a disappointing loss again. If you, like I said, you score 7 runs, you should win this game. The pitching has not been good of late. Outside of Fried was great the other night, but yeah, hopefully they could right the ship now. They go to, and they got Kansas City coming up, and then they head to Boston on the weekend, right? So hopefully they could get some revenge against the Red Sox when they play them again this weekend.
Now, I have a question for you because I was reading something online. Do you think the Yankee-Red Sox rivalry is still as big as it was?
Well, I think I forgot who said it, but there's peaks and valleys in this rivalry, right? Like early 2000s, right? 03 and 04, that was, like peak rivalry, Yankee Red Sox, and it kind of dipped a little bit for a while. Then it went back up again, a few years ago when we played them in the wild card game. And then they beat us bad in that game. But, there were, there's peaks and valleys. Right now, I would say it's a little bit on the downswing just because Boston is not good. Let's face it, they're not in the playoffs right now. They're, 3rd or 4th in the division. And, and the Yankees are in first place. But there's always going to be Yankees Red Sox. There's always going to be that rivalry, no matter what, right? No matter what the standings. We've seen it throughout the 80s, the 90s. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be, to me, the most, I don't want to say popular, but I would say it's always going to be the biggest rivalry, especially in baseball. Obviously, other sports has their rivalries. Every team has their rival. But Yankees, Red Sox, because it's going on for so long, for 100 years, right? Since the Babe Ruth trade, that's where it all kind of started. But I think it's always going to be the rivalry in baseball. But is it going to be as intense as it was, when they played in the playoffs or going further back in the early 2000s? Is it going to be it could get to that point again, but, you hate to say it, but the Red Sox got to catch up again. So we'll see.
I agree. And I think the game that the Yankees really should have won was the Crochet game, because, I mean, how many times do you get him pitching like that? And you need to take advantage. I mean, I know in that game, the Yankees scored 7 runs. So it really is, like you said, on the pitching. But that's one game that you have to take advantage of. You have their best pitcher, and, you got to win that game.
Yeah. And even last night, like they scored 2 runs right away with the Judge home run in the first inning off a rookie. You gotta get on. You have to get on this guy early because he's a rookie, and they just didn't get it done. The bats were just, they didn't get it done early on. Yeah, like you said, they did score 7 runs, but unfortunately, the pitching just let them down last night. Starting with Rodon not having his best start, obviously gives up the most runs he's given up all season, 5 runs in a start. The bullpen again, not great. So. It's just not good right now for the Yankees, and hopefully they could turn it around. Cruz wasn't good. Loaizaga wasn't good. He hasn't looked good at all since he's come back. So maybe he came back a little bit early. Yeah. Maybe they should have made him, have a couple more appearances in AAA before they bring him back up. but he's up here now, so I don't think they're going to send him back down. And Hedrick came in, he gave up a couple of runs, so yeah, so that wasn't good. You give up 11 runs, that's never good for your pitching. So hopefully, like I said, you got Kansas City coming up. Not that it's an easy series, but it's a series also too that they should win, right? To me, they're the better team, getting back to that. And I think if they just pitch well, they'll win, right? Because the offense is there. Back-to-back games, you score 7 runs. Oh
yeah,
that should be enough to win. So it's a little frustrating. And this week, hopefully, we're gonna get some good news with Stanton starting rehab games this week. We heard that last week that possibly he's going to start this week rehab games. So that'll be great to get that bat back in the lineup because they need a big right-handed bat in that lineup. Something that we're missing. And hopefully we'll hear some more good news about Hill. Maybe throwing more live and hopefully starting a rehab assignment soon as well. But yeah, otherwise, it is what it is. Jazz has come back and he's been great since he came back. Not last night so much, but yeah, I mean, it's pitching's got to get back to the way they were, and right now, a lot of fans are like, oh, Cashman should be making a move, like he should be making a trade. I agree, but the problem is you need a partner to make that trade, and right now, not every team is looking to trade away some of their good players because they're still in the playoff hunt, right? Outside of the Rockies and the Pirates, I mean, who's really totally out of it that they're ready to start selling in June, right? Not many teams are. So you got to kind of, wait it out, maybe bring up a kid from the minors and try to get a spark that way. With Ian Hamilton not pitching well, he still has options. Maybe you could send him down to kind of straighten himself out, bring someone up. And, that's really what you're going to do now, or pick someone off the scrap heap at this point, but in a couple of weeks, it's going to change, right? Once we get closer into July, teams are going to start saying, all right, they'll put the white flag up and they'll start talking trades.
Yeah, that's coming. Right now, it's still a little too early for that. So, just calm down. Yeah, it's both, it happens with Met fans and Yankee fans. They always want to make deals. And then when you read some of the deals they want to make, they're so stupid.
I know.
It's like they want to get someone, the greatest player from another team, and they want to give away like Stroman. We'll pick up his contract. It's some of these stupid these trades that these guys want to make are really ridiculous. So another couple of weeks we'll know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see. Like we're talking about the Braves. I mean, we could talk about the Braves real fast about how bad they're doing right now. They just got swept by the Giants in San Fran. And San Fran's hot. They've won 5 straight.
Yeah.
San Diego, they're playing great. They're only, I think, a game behind the Dodgers for that division lead. And I think they start a series tonight, the Padres and the Dodgers, and it's going to be their first series of the season. The Yankees just played the Red Sox for the first time. Now these guys are playing for the first time. It's crazy.
Yeah, the schedule's crazy. The schedule's crazy now that everybody's playing everybody. And it's like, this is late. Could you imagine? It was June, the Yankees played the Red Sox. And now the Padres and Dodgers. That's going to be a good series. I'm looking forward to seeing the Dodgers and San Diego. There's some good series coming up. The Dodgers can be beat. We saw that. The Mets could have swept the Dodgers, like we were talking about. They could have swept the Dodgers. So the Dodgers right now are not indestructible. But we know the Dodgers are going to make whatever move they have to make, right? They're going to, if they need a piece, they're going to go out and get it. Their IL list of pitchers, the money they're making is more than the Pittsburgh Pirates payroll.
Right. It's crazy. It's crazy how many guys are actually on the IL right now for the Dodgers, and it's mostly pitchers, which is I think it's 13. I forgot what the exact number, but it's like 13 or 14 players right now that are on the IL for the Dodgers, and you got to include guys like Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, two of the they're big time starters. Spent a lot of money on Snell in the offseason. So it's Snell and Glass now. There are a couple of relief pitchers, Evan Phillips, Blake Trinan, another starter, Tony Gonsolin, another relief pitcher, Broodstar Gratterall. Who else? Gavin Stone.
Yeah,
I mean, the kid that they signed from Japan, Roki Sasaki, who wasn't pitching that well, but it's just incredible. And they're first place in their division. Not that they're running away with it, but they're still putting it all together. And you know what? They're still, like you said, still playing great.
Yeah, and could you imagine if their pitching staff was healthy? Then we would be talking differently, because who knows what that would look like. But
and you know what? And I also seen someone make a comment about the Dodgers, like, oh, they don't care about the regular season. They're just worried about the playoffs. You know what? To a certain extent, I agree, but they also want home field advantage.
Yeah.
Do they want to play, the Game 7, whether it's in San Diego or at Citi Field? Do they really want to do that? Do they want to go to Wrigley Field and play that extra, playoff game on the road? I don't think so. They'd rather have home field, throughout the playoffs and in the World Series as well, So I don't buy that. Yeah. Their confidence level is, hey, listen, let's just get to the playoffs and we'll be fine. But on the other side, yeah, they still want home field advantage. They still want to play in LA, that extra game, that they don't want to be playing. They don't want any part of Citi Field this year. Okay. Because Citi Field is going to be nuts getting to the playoffs, right? Last year it was like, oh my God, now it's like, okay, now we mean business. We almost beat you last year, right? We took you to 6 games. Guess what? We're going to take you to, maybe we'll beat you by 6 games, but you're going to need more than what you beat us last year with. You have to be better because we're better.
Yeah. And listen, the Mets, and if they do play the Dodgers, if the Dodgers play the Mets have home field advantage. The Mets took the season series. So right there, so I know what people are saying, but Bull, you want home field advantage. You want home field advantage against the Mets, against San Diego, against anyone. You want, if it goes to Game 7, you want to be home, because Game 7s, not only are they great, nothing's better than a Game 7, and nothing's better than a Game 7 in Major League Baseball, right?
Yep. Yep.
And you want to be home for that, because it's nuts. It's going to be nuts. So you want home field advantage. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah. No, I agree. So other than the Padres and the Dodgers, you got Cubs are at Philadelphia. So Philadelphia, can they bounce back and, get back on the winning ways against the Cubs? You got another good series. You got the Braves traveling to Milwaukee, 2 teams that are right now on the outside looking in for the playoffs. So listen, if the Braves continue to lose like they have, Milwaukee might be putting in a couple of those first nails in the coffin against the Braves. It's early, but still, you know what? If you could bury a team now, that's what you want to do, right? You got Cincinnati playing at Cleveland, so you got some pretty good series coming up.
Yeah, but like you said, it's still early, and I was just talking about the Mets last year in London. They switched it around a year ago today, so it still is early, because the Mets did it last year, right?
Right.
We did not see that coming. We thought it was a lost year, and then all of a sudden, after that series in London, the Mets went on a run. So it's not early, and the Braves could turn it around. Teams could turn it around. So let's see what happens when we get to the All-Star break.
Yeah, exactly. We still got it. It's still a couple more weeks, but I think this is where you're going to find out like what teams are going to do in July at the trade deadline, right? These next few weeks are going to, teams are like, okay, like with the Braves, Atlanta, they're not putting up the white flag, but I'm sure they're talking about like, all right, we got to see what we got here by the end of the month, or, we know what our plans are going to be in July. So, but there's a couple of teams that are right there, just like that could be sellers, that could be buyers at the trade deadline. And the next couple of weeks will definitely determine that. So we'll see what happens.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, this is a great time of the year, because all these teams are kind of in the same boat, you know. A lot of these teams are right there, and the good teams that know they're going to be looking for whatever they're going to look for at the trade deadline, Yankees, Mets, you know, Phillies, you know, Dodgers, obviously, Cubs. They want to know who's going to be selling, right? They're going to find out. Yeah. They want to find out because they want to start making deals. So we'll see what happens. Last week, the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about players that aren't in the Hall of Fame yet, that maybe could be, you know, talked about a little bit more. And last week we were talking about the second basemen, and we put up a poll. We put up the top 4 second basemen not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That among the WAR leaders, right? So we put up Lou Whitaker, Bobby Grich, Willie Randolph, and Jeff Kent. So let me show you with the poll. It was close, obviously, because like all these guys could have went in easily, but so it was extremely close, and it looks like it's a tie actually between Randolph and Jeff Kent.
Oh wow, yeah, it went to a tie. Jeff Kent was ahead, and wow, so Willie Randolph and Jeff Kent. Lou Whitaker, you know, he's up there. Bobby Grich, I guess, you know, a lot of people didn't see Bobby Grich play, so
yeah,
you know,
I get that.
That's a factor,
right? And he wasn't. I don't think he was the superstar. Obviously, he wasn't the superstar player. He was just a consistent player for like his whole career. Like he never had like the big leap year. You know, he never had the big year or the down year. He was just consistently really good for his whole career. And I think that's why he doesn't stand out. But when you look at his career WAR, 71 is right there. And Lou Whitaker, obviously playing with the Tigers and, you know, with Trammell going in now, you know, maybe that opens up the door for Whitaker to eventually get in too.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But Jeff Kent, real out of that bunch, I still feel like, even though we know the problems with Jeff Kent, with the press, and even with fans at some point, but you know, I think on that list, I think Jeff Kent deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I definitely think Kent, and I think Whitaker for sure. Grich, maybe because he didn't, like I said, he didn't have the really high year. He just consistently really good his whole career. Maybe that's why he doesn't stick out. And Randolph, I think, is the same way as the same way as Grich. Never had a big year offensively, but he was just consistent his whole career. Probably both maybe won't get in, but I think Whitaker and Kent eventually will get in, right? Because Kent right now is still the home run leader for second baseman. So
yeah, he deserves to be in.
So this week we're going to hit the shortstops, and I have to say, out of the players that have been retired, there's not many that I was looking to make an argument for. Or there was one player, and he played in the dead ball era.
Yeah,
that I looked at. He had pretty decent numbers, and is a guy named Bill Dolan.
Yeah, I would. Yes, same thing. I have him on my list. He played from 1891 to 1911.
Yeah, so neither one of us obviously seen him, but he's pretty high up there in WAR. He's the highest player for shortstops that played shortstop, the highest player in WAR that's not in the Hall of Fame. His WAR is 75. His was higher than guys like Barry Larkin, Derek Jeter, Lou Boudreau, Pee Wee Reese, Joe Cronin, you know, for shortstop. That's pretty good. Luis Aparicio was lower than him, just to show you how high his WAR numbers were.
Yeah, and he also had 2,461 hits. You know, he played for the Chicago Colts, Chris.
Oh, there you go.
And he played for the Brooklyn Super Bars, which became the Dodgers. I didn't even know that.
Like 21 seasons.
Yeah, it's amazing. And he had over 2,000 RBIs. He had 2,086 RBIs.
No, 1,200 RBIs.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 1,200 RBIs.
He had over 2,400 hits,
Yes.
1,500 runs scored, almost 1,600. So he had a really good career. 548 stolen bases.
Yeah, I was looking at A-Rod's RBIs. That's
and
what I said.
He did win a World Series, 1905.
Yeah.
With the Giants. So he's really, I mean, other than that, you know, another name I thought of, and you probably seen him because I caught him at the end of his career, was Burkamp and Harris.
Yeah, from the A's, Oakland A's. Yeah. Yes.
Another guy who played a long time, 19 years. Not a big home run guy.
No, but he led the league in stolen bases 6 times. Okay. And he's a 3-time World Series champion. Okay.
Yeah.
With Oakland. So, and a 6-time, like I said, 6-time All-Star. But was he great enough to be in the Hall of Fame? That's the key.
8 seasons he received MVP votes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I mean, he did play 19 years. Like you said, he led the league in stolen bases 3, 4, 5, 6 years. He had 649 stolen bases. You know what? Another thing I seen that was very peculiar, very strange about, he had 79 career home runs, right?
Right.
But he hit 22 of them in 1970.
Yeah, that's right.
Did something happen in 1970? Like, did Oakland play a different stadium there? Like what happened?
No, I don't know what it
meant. Sacramento in 1970 also.
Yeah, no, I know that's really a weird stat. Like they said, listen, you're not a power hitter. Let's work on other stuff.
Right.
I don't know.
It's strange. Hey, and I remember he played for the Yankees, I think, for a year or two, and I remember him playing a little bit. His last year actually with the Yankees in '83, but he's just that scrappy player. He's probably not going to get to the Hall of Fame, but he's really the only guy other than that guy Bill Dolan that I seen for retired shortstops at least.
But okay, let's talk about A-Rod. Okay. I mean, what's going to happen with A-Rod?
You know what? We spoke about it a few weeks ago with Pete Rose, right? Getting reinstated. Right. I wonder if he goes in, and then does that open the door for the steroid players? Because then if the steroid players go in, obviously A-Rod, Bonds, and Clemens will lead the way, through the door with those guys. So it's going to be interesting these next few years, right?
But you have to look at, A-Rod's numbers. Like I said before, the RBIs was his RBIs, 2,086, right? 696 home runs.
Yeah, he's in. I mean, if you go by his numbers, he's in.
Yeah.
Like
over
there's no
3,000, over 3,000 hits. I mean, and a lot of people, of course, don't like A-Rod. And, he's been trying to fix his image with the broadcasting and everything. But, you said it. Maybe they should just have, something put on the plaque, played in steroid era.
And was suspended. Like, he literally got suspended. It's not like Bonds never got suspended.
That's
right?
true too. Yeah, he did get suspended.
He never got suspended. I mean, A-Rod literally got suspended for using steroids. Right. So he would be a guy like Manuel Ramirez. He got suspended for using steroids. So those guys would definitely have something. Bonds, it would have to say he was suspected of using it or was on the that New York Times list or whatever that nobody's seen, came out, whatever. So listen, I think it's definitely gonna be an interesting conversation the next couple of years with Pete Rose being reinstated and possibly getting voted in one of the veterans committees, whatever. So I think they got a shot.
I still want to know what really went on with this Pete Rose thing. Did they wait for him to pass away? Did they have a deal with him that maybe he said, maybe they said, well, you're not getting in while you're alive, which is really,
that's really stupid.
It's crazy, but
that is.
I mean, what happened? What happened? I'm very curious. I wish we would know why the change was made. Because to
Yeah.
me, it just seems like they waited for him to pass away, and then all right, let's reinstate him. But he shouldn't have bet on baseball. None of them should have bet on baseball. And it also goes into that Ohtani thing was that swept under the rug, because a lot of people still talk about that, even though you don't hear anything in baseball about it. But, what if Ohtani was making the bets and his interpreter took the fall for him? We don't know.
Right. Listen, we obviously don't have the proof of that, but it kind of looks that way, right? Let's be honest. But you know what? We'll probably never know what really happened there anyway. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation, I think, for the next couple of years.
So we're gonna put up that poll.
Today, we're gonna put up a shortstop one. But I'm curious, should we put up guys that are playing in the league now, or should we put there's only those two guys that we mentioned, really.
Well, you could also put Dave Concepcion down there. I mean, big red machine. But it's weird how shortstop isn't like all these other positions where you have a bunch of players that you could argue about.
Yeah,
short.
But shortstop is not many. What about? I'll give you a couple of names. I think Lindor is definitely going in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right? We could agree on that, right? I think it's a done deal already. But listen, he still has 6 or 7 years left on his deal, so he's going to be here for a while. So he's definitely going to accumulate plenty of more home runs and stolen bases and all that. So he's definitely going in. What about Carlos Correa? I was thinking about him, and I was like, and then you got to look at his, you look at his career. He's 30 years old now. Just give you some numbers. He's got 192 home runs, 274 career batting average. We know the postseason, really good in the postseason.
See, he's a tough one. He's another one that could be on, right on that line. But I think for him, we just have to see what happens in the next couple of years. Is he going to have a big injury? We don't know. What he still has those problems. He just luckily, the past season it hasn't been that bad, but we don't know what's going to happen with him. So he's someone that we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and he's got to put up a couple more big years for him to get in right now. I think he's a little short right now. A couple other guys I thought of. What about Trey Turner? No, not Trey Turner. I'm sorry. Corey Seager.
He's another, he's another
right?
one. It's
because he's a great playoff, right? 2-time World Series MVP, 2-time World Series champion, 3-time Silver Slugger, Rookie of the Year, 5-time All-Star, NLCS MVP. So the postseason numbers, if he was if he was an NFL quarterback, he would get in. Right?
Yes.
I'll say it that way. It doesn't work this way in baseball as much.
No.
I mean, he still has decent numbers in his regular season. He's got 206 career home runs, career 289 average, OPS 866. Received 5 years MVP votes. Led the league in doubles a couple of years. I think he missed a lot of games. I think that's what's hurt him.
Yeah, yes, that definitely has hurt him.
Yeah, he's got 2 or 3 years 4 years where he's missed some games. But I wonder if the playoff stats, the 2-time World Series MVP, I wonder if that kind of pushes him over.
It might, but like you said, it's not like football. In football, it would have definitely, and we know that, it would have definitely pushed him over because we know the Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowls and more, and we know what happens. But it might. We'll have to see. Remember, things are different, and they're going to be different when he's on when he's on the ballot also. It's not like it used to be. They look at different things. Wins don't matter like they used to matter, right?
Yep.
I never thought I would see that. But
all right, I'll give you three names. Names. Which one do you think has the best shot? Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt Jr., or Ellie De La Cruz?
It's so early. I think Bobby Witt Jr., if he keeps playing like he's playing, do I have to pick one of those guys?
Yeah. That would be my pick, only because he's the better all-around player than three of them. Like, Ellie is the most electric player, but his defense is not great, and he strikes out way too much. Someone put up a stat yesterday that he's already struck out more times than Tony Gwynn has in his entire career.
In his career, yes, I saw that. That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It is crazy, but I mean, we're talking about Tony Gwynn. Too.
Right, Tony Gwynn.
Out. Okay, but yeah, I would pick Bobby Witt Jr., but it's still way too early for those three guys. I mean, way too early. But yeah, the better all-around player is Bobby Witt Jr. He's great. Love watching that guy play. So, I would pick him. Is that your pick too?
Yeah, out of those three, I think I would right now. Obviously,
right now.
like you said, it's way too early. Especially, God forbid injuries could hit one of these guys or whatever. So you really don't really. And I think, to be honest, I think Ellie De La Cruz is going to eventually move off a shortstop. It looks like he's just defensively, he's not very good. He's got a strong arm. The guy's faster than almost anybody out there. He's one of the quickest players in the league. Maybe, center field or left field or something for him might be a better spot. I don't know. But yeah, right now, I mean, I'd have to take Bobby Witt, just because of the total game that he has. He's got everything. He's got the power, the speed, hits for average, plays really good defense. So he's got the whole, he's the total package to me.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Is there anybody else shortstop wise you want to talk about, or?
Nah, my number one is when we just spoke about him with players today. Lindor, Lindor is great. And listen, it took him, like we were talking about with Soto, right? It took him a little while to get used to New York. People, his first year, people were going nuts. They wanted to get rid of him. You just have to take it easy and let.
That's even last season. Right? Yeah. Just he had last season. People were like, oh my God, this guy, he's finished. He's done, right? And then look what he did. He turned the season around, and now he's, let's make this guy captain. And we'll put him in the Hall of Fame, right? So.
Yep. So that's who I picked. But we'll put something up. If you want to put some of today's players on that list or whatever, we could do that.
What's another good name? Another good name, and I seen an article, I don't know if it was last year or the year before in The Athletic, on Jimmy Rollins. Yeah. Jimmy Rollins is an interesting shortstop guy too. MVP 1 year, 3-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove, won the World Series in 2008, Silver Slugger, Clemente Award winner.
Killed the Mets.
Killed the Mets. So he does not get Rob's vote. I'll say that right now.
Listen, if a player's deserving and they killed the Mets, they still get my vote. But
it's weird. If I could find the article, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It's amazing how, like, I forgot who wrote it. One of the big time writers, one of the guys that's on ESPN, but it basically made the argument for and against him. Like when you read it, it was like half for and half against, and you're like, oh yeah, he should be in. And then you read the second half and you're like, maybe not, so he's right. He's one of those borderline guys, great player. When I'll be honest, when I watched him play, and I'm sure, like you said, he killed your team. So, better than me. But when I seen him play, I mean, this guy I thought he was a Hall of Famer when he was playing, but he just didn't, like the career numbers are just not there. 231 career home runs, 936 career RBIs, 264 batting average, right? That's usually not going to get you in.
Yeah, every time I saw that guy play, he was getting hit. So
I remember the 1 year. Didn't he guarantee they were gonna win the division or something, right?
Yeah.
And he went out and I think was that the year he won the MVP, or he had a great year, whatever it was.
He had a great year that year. He backed up what he said. So
yeah, I mean, how many guys do that? So it's close. I mean, when you look at the career numbers, no, he probably doesn't belong. But when I watched him play, and like when you watched him play, yeah, he was definitely a Hall of Famer for sure. So, but yeah. So like I said, shortstop, there wasn't many guys. We were talking more about future guys that are going to be going in or not. So
yeah,
but I like doing this, especially one position at a time, so you could kind of look at some of the names that you're like, oh, this guy's not in yet, or he should, and then you look at their numbers and you're like, oh, maybe that's why. So, but
yeah, I love it. I love it. I love this.
Yeah. So, and anything else?
Just real quick, I want Vlad Jr. He signs that big contract, and then what happened? He's got 8 home runs after that.
Right.
Is that going to affect? Is that going to affect him now that he signed such a big contract? Is this a problem with big contracts all of a sudden? Because he signs it and then all of a sudden he's not playing like Vlad plays. So I was listening to something about that today, and I just thought I'd bring that up.
It's interesting, I mean, he's still one of the best players out there, especially at his position.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's not having a great season. I mean, he's got 8 home runs, 29 RBIs. He's batting .273, slugging .417. So that's all numbers that are down from what we've seen, especially last year. Last year he was really good, 30 and 103. He batted .323, on base just under 400. So, but when you look at his average season, according to Baseball Reference, is 31 and 98 and a .287 batting average. So he's a little bit below both right now.
Okay.
But,
well, he's going to be Vlad. So
yeah, I'm sure. Listen, at his age, I think that was a good deal for him and the team, right? He's only 26, so
yeah,
it was a good deal. It's not like he's 30 and he signed a 10-year deal. Like, the bad contract, when you want to look at bad contracts, look at Xander Bogaerts with
I remember.
Right? That is bad. And he's gone down. I looked at his stats the last 4 years. He has just dropped every single year. He's getting worse.
Yeah.
And he's 32 now. And he still has, I think, 8 years left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Still has 8 years left at $25 million a season.
That's horrible.
Oh, it's awful. It's got a full no trade clause. So I think he's stuck in San Diego, because when you're in San Diego, it's beautiful there. So it's like you don't want to be traded anyway. So now that he's got a full trade, no trade, he's definitely going to fight those. But man,
that's not going anywhere.
Going to be awful.
That's a bad one. But all right, that's all I have. Do you have anything else?
Just like we put up a post earlier. If you guys watch MLB, if you watch MLB Now on MLB Network, they always ask a question, and it's called the Thinking Fan. It's a Thinking Fan question, and today's question was, do you think the Braves are going to make the playoffs? And I wrote no, and I explained why no. But let's see. Here, I got it here.
You got that to put up, right?
Yeah. So that was my answer. What do you think? If you're thinking about the Braves, do you think the Braves are going to make the playoffs? I mean, we kind of talked about it earlier, but
no, I agree with this. This that's why they picked it too, right? They pick only the best. I agree. They might have to start thinking about selling, because I think, and listen, the Braves burn the Mets all the time. So, I want to be careful with what I say, but I think this year, I don't think it's going to happen. So that statement that you made is a really good statement. That's why they put it up. And I agree with you. The Braves may end up being sellers. Right now it looks like that, unless things change fast. So
it's just a matter. Right. It's just a matter of who they sell. That's going to be, I think, the bigger question. Like Ozuna, he's going to be a free agent after this year, but he also has the 10-5 rights. So he could veto any trade if he wanted to. Chris Sale has an option. I think it's a team option after this season at like $19 million. So it sounds pretty easy. So if they don't trade him, they'll definitely put the option in, because I think but the thing is, he'll be 36 next year, or he is 36. So you could kind of weigh that out. And if you trade him now, you could probably get something decent for him, because the guy's an ace, right? I mean, he is that good as long as he's healthy. So, and next year's free agent class is huge. Starting pitchers, a lot of really good players, especially starting pitchers. You got Cease, you got Michael King available next year. So,
but there's also a problem with next year.
right, exactly. The year after, I mean, the off season after, we're talking about, possibly a stoppage and all that. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, because does a player opt in for next season, or do they opt out and get their contract this offseason? Because remember, they're talking about getting the salary cap, right? Yes. So if they put the salary cap in, teams that might be a little more reluctant to, give a guy a huge contract, right? They're already, you could tell certain players are not getting as big as a contract as, like, we could go back to Alonso last year, right? He thought he was getting, 8 years, 9 years easy. And, he had to settle for what the Mets gave him with the opt-out. Does he opt out, or does he say, hey, you know what? I got guaranteed money for the next couple of years. I'm going to take it. Right. So a guy like that might decide to say, you know what, I'm going to stay with the Mets. I got 3 more. What did he sign? A 4-year?
Yeah. Or you talk extension now,
right. They should. I agree.
Yes. That's what I think. Talk extension now. Look at the great season. Listen, and we know money talks. Money. Yeah. You would take more money. I would take more money. That's just the way it is. It's not like they're fans like the fans are. We live and breathe with these guys. People they leave and you get pissed at them or whatever. It's a business for them. They got to make as much as they could while they can, because anything could happen. But truly, I really think that Alonso would love to be a Met for life. That's just what I feel. So,
I think if the Mets offered him something nice, I think he would definitely sign it.
Me too. So I think maybe they have to start talking extension, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no doubt. I definitely think for him, they should, and I think they will. But I think that the work stoppage, not this coming off season, but the next one, I think that's kind of having a dark cloud over everything, because, like, does a team want to go, a lot of years with a player if they don't know if a salary cap is even going to be there? Like, what's going to be the rules after 2026? Do they have to cut them, finances down, whatever? So we don't know. That's going to be the interesting thing coming up. So, but I think that's it. I think that's it for today, right?
Yeah, another great show, Chris. I'll tell you. Love talking baseball with you.
Same here. And guys, awesome. We love talking to you too. And remember, hit that subscribe button so you know when the next show is coming up. We'll be on Friday. We're not sure what time, but we'll be back Friday.
We will be back Friday. We might be on Friday night, but we'll let you guys know. But until then, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate everybody.
Definitely.